The Powerball jackpot this week is $150 million. Looks like I need to go and buy a ticket then, doesn't it? But moving to Australia, I think, is a lot like winning the lottery. And I guess I need to go and explain that to you, don't I? The first likeliness is the fact that if you win the lottery, it's kind of like a fresh start. And when you move to the other side of the world, that's also a fresh start too. Because let's face it, it's one of the most stressful things that you've ever done in your life. You're cutting yourself completely off from your friends and family. And in most visa cases, you're probably going to want to start yourself off with at least a little bit of money. But there's nothing quite like resetting your life than winning $150 million, or at the very least, starting a new life on the other side of the world is going to give you at least a little bit of that kind of feeling. But I'm still going to see if I can't win myself $150 million. Another thing that's going to help you if you win the lottery is the fact that it's going to open yourself up to lots of different opportunities. Much like moving to Australia is going to open yourself up to a lot of different opportunities. Let's face it, there are things that you can do in this country that you can't do anywhere else, like camping in winter. Who's going to want to do that in the UK? Freaking cold. Whilst the culture here isn't exactly too dissimilar to a UK culture, there are still a lot of things that are different in this country. And you could think about it all negative. Oh, there are things that I'm going to not be able to do anymore. Well, that's the wrong freaking attitude to have. Instead, you need to think about it as, what else can I do in this new and beautiful and wonderful new land? But let's face it, there are probably a few more things that I could do with $150 million. It is not the best weather in sunny Brisbane today. But there is one difference between winning the lottery and moving to Australia that isn't quite the same. Sure, if you do either, it's going to be a bit of an emotional roller coaster. But let's face it, if I won $150 million on the Powerball, regardless of all the pitfalls and negative emotions that I might feel, that is probably the type of roller coaster that I'm going to want to be on. Anyone that tells you that moving to Australia is going to be full of all of the awesome feelings, and there are going to be a few of them, hopefully more than negative ones, there are also those negative feelings that are going to follow you around. So if you're the type of person that unfortunately does feel a little bit negative about their life, like those millionaires who win the lottery, they kind of think to themselves, oh, I wish I'd never won all of that money. If you're feeling the same about your life, moving to the other side of the world, like to Australia, probably isn't just going to fix everything straight away. And if you don't ride that emotional roller coaster too well, then you're probably going to end up falling off it somehow and moving back to the country that you originally came from. How long do you reckon it's taken to eat out this tree? Man, it's huge. And winning the lottery, just like moving to Australia, is also going to give itself some other challenges that are going to present themselves in the form of new learning experiences. Not everyone in the world has been fortunate enough to have been a millionaire at some point in their life, just as the case that most people haven't uprooted their lives and moved to the other side of the world. This is probably one of the favourite bits about winning a load of money or moving to Australia, in the fact that you get to learn and adapt to all of these different situations that you have never experienced in your life, or even things that you haven't done for ages. Just like meeting new friends or finding a new job. Now, don't get me wrong, I would probably enjoy the learning challenges associated with winning $150 million more than setting up a new life for myself in Australia. One rule in Australia, though, is always stick to the path, or otherwise you'll see something you don't want to find. And if you did find yourself being a person who had a massive windfall and won a load on the lottery, you're going to meet a lot of new people. Just as the same when you move to the other side of the world and you literally know no one, you're going to end up forcing yourself to have to meet a lot of new people. How many of these people could open up new doors for you? Think of all of the social opportunities. Think of even the social reset that you might have. How many of us have got people in our lives that we probably would rather do without? Now, don't get me wrong, if you had $150 million, you could probably just pay out some of these people. Why would you even want to pay them money? But at least if you escape to the other side of the world, you'll find that lots of people don't really want to talk to you anymore. And that's not really a bad thing, is it? But one of the greatest things to moving to the other side of the world is probably the new improved lifestyle. And let's face it, Australia, with its better weather, in general higher pay for most professions, and more laid-back approach to living, is going to give you a type of lifestyle that most people would pay a lot of money to achieve anyway. What price would you put on improving your own lifestyle? Don't get me wrong, winning $150 million on the Powerball is probably going to pay for most lifestyles that people would want, but for the cost of a visa, some flights to the other side of the world, a little bit of money to reset your life, I'd go as far as to say that moving to Australia is probably a lot more achievable than actually What even is the odds of winning the lottery in any country nowadays? And if you're worried about the costs of a visa to move to Australia, it's probably not as expensive as you think. And that's the bit where you could also say that I'm lying to you, because it is a few $1,000s. But the Australian visa system is a tricky one, in the sense that if you get all of your visa application stuff wrong, which is a more common thing than people think, they don't exactly give refunds. So if you don't know where to start, or you do want some professional advice, then speak to our friends True Blue Migration, mention us, and they'll tell you for free exactly what your options are for moving to Australia. I can hand on heart say that I wouldn't even feel like I've won the lottery and moved to Australia if I hadn't used the services of a visa agent like True Blue Migration Services. They're one of Australia's largest and oldest and, quite frankly, most trusted visa agents. And if you're serious about moving here and you just want to see what your options are for free, I don't know why you wouldn't contact them. Hello little baby water dragon, mate. Oh. Not gonna lie, when you first hear one of them rustling off into the bushes and you can't quite see them, you do wonder to yourself, did you just see a snake or not? It's just a water dragon, mate, and I don't know what you're worried about. Now, Australia is an expensive place to live in, not gonna lie. I probably have spent more money since being here than if I lived in the UK. But the other fact is that I also earn a lot more money than I do here than I did in the UK. And over 3 years of living here, I've been able to save more money than I have compared to living in the UK as well. So moving to Australia is much like winning the lottery, in the sense that there are going to be some financial benefits. Also, from a cost of living perspective, what can you afford in Australia in comparison to what you could get in the UK? I could have never afforded a house like I live in Australia, where I lived in the UK. Even with all of the price increases, which happen all over the world by the way, most of the houses that we have in our local area probably would have been an upgrade to what I had living in Tadley. Now the only difference is, I guess, that not everything is going to be financially better off for you. Not like winning $150 million on the Powerball, but before you move, it might be good practice to do a little bit of an audit on your life and just see what actually would be better for me in Australia compared to my current situation where I live. The biggest thing you need to think about when you move to Australia, much like winning the lottery, is the long-term impact that you think it's going to have on your life. And if you're anything like me, who's moved over here with your family, you also need to think about the long-term impact, not just about you, but also about your kids. Now don't get me wrong, if you win the lottery, your future life is probably going to be pretty rosy. But have a think about where it is that you live. What's it going to be like in 5 years or even 10 years time? Is that the place that you're going to want to live in? And is that the place that you're going to want to raise your kids and have their future in? Now, I don't regret being raised in the UK at all. It was a fantastic country for my childhood, but a lot changed between me being born and when I left. Moving to Australia has reminded me a lot about things that I enjoyed from my childhood, things that I didn't see in the UK or starting to see diminish and get reduced. If you can't see where you live as a country where you want your kids to be able to grow up, or if you're thinking about it selfishly as a country that you don't want to see yourself growing old in, then maybe it's time that you considered moving to Australia, because it's probably going to be a lot easier than actually winning the lottery. I swear if you just had dog poo bags freely available on your walk in the UK, someone would have stolen them all or just set fire to it by now. The greatest thing that has happened to me since I've moved to Australia is something that is probably immeasurable and incomparable than if I had won the lottery. How do you put a measurement on personal growth? I've only lived in Australia for the last 3 years, but looking at myself now in comparison to the person who I was before I moved here, well, I'm a lot happy with the person who I've become and the person that I'm aiming to be. Even if you moved to Australia and it wasn't for you, I challenge you to look and reflect on yourself and not see at least some personal growth and overall becoming a better person as a result of everything that you've experienced. What's the phrase that they say? Challenge creates character. Nothing good ever happened as a result of sitting around in the town that you grew up in, doing the same job that you probably don't like, and just sitting there wishing and hoping that something better would happen for you. A bit like spending some money and winning the lottery. Moving to Australia is a very achievable thing for a lot of people who are watching this video right now. And if you're considering it, then you're probably already nearly there to making the best decision of your life. Winning the lottery isn't for everyone, statistically so. So rather than just going out there and buying a lottery ticket and hoping something good will happen, go out there and make a tangible change to your life and take the first steps to find out what you need to do to move to Australia. Hello mate, could I have a Powerball ticket for tomorrow please?
Is that all?
Yeah, that's everything, thank you.
That's $10.80.
Cheers, thank you. Have a good one.
You too.
And I guess if you want to find out if this ticket's a winner, watch this video. See you next time.